from 1 to 130 or 140 do the one-to-many relationship, and then the many-to-many for a little bit later.
Yeah. We'll start with blog posts, and if there's enough time, then maybe we'll see if we can throw in some like ability to comment or something on the posts. How's that sound?
So the thing with many to keep in mind is that for these belt exams will be specific to black belt.
Yeah, exactly.
So
one-to-many.
Yeah, many is not the most pressing thing right now.
Yeah, I think that's the best way to go about it. So let me do my start project thing real quick, and we'll get started. And I'm also going to show you guys how I would organize it before I even start coding. So hopefully that can help.
Is it also possible for us to ask like clarification questions on like singular things too?
Yeah, of course. So right now, I know you guys can't see, I'm just doing the start project, start app. And then once that's up, I'll share my screen. All right. I'm going to see how this works. Can you guys all see that?
But it's like scrunched up vertically.
Is it weird? Yeah, I have it on my vertical screen. Hold on a second. I had a feeling that might happen.
Dakota's so fancy with his vertical monitors.
Oh, I know.
Yeah. By the way, I am recording this, so you guys will be able to watch this.
Oh boy. How's that? Is that better?
Yep.
All right. So started the blog breakout over here. You see I have the blog project folder here, and then this is going to be my app. So we're going to go through, and do the basics. We'll add the app to the installed apps, get that out of the way. Add my URL. If I could spell. I'm just going to comment that out, and I will comment this out. Everything look good so far? I will probably be making mistakes, some on purpose, some not so much, and just asking you guys to sort of, keep an eye on what's going on so that we can get used to sort of seeing and correcting common mistakes. Let me see, and so right in here, I'm just going to make a little text file. All right, so let's talk about what we're trying to do. We want to have users. So this is going to be a model. We want users to have a one-to-many relationship with another model called blogs. We want our users to have, let's say, let's just have a username. I'm going to try to make it as short as possible. Username and a password. Do you guys think they should have anything else? All right. Blogs are going to have titles and text for the blog. Title and text. And then we're going to have our foreign key, which is going to relate back to our users. So that sort of helps me get that set up right off the bat. And then I need to think about how the file is actually, normally I would do this, I would draw this out with boxes. I'm a little bit more visual, but this will be how we do it for this. I'm going to need some sort of login page. These are going to be the web pages to be rendered. So this is what I want people to see. When I want them to see a login page, I'm going to want them to see a page of all blogs, and then maybe a page for a single user blogs. And then I'm going to need sort of pages that are going to handle my data. So these will be data redirects. I'm going to need something to log in the user or to register a user. I'll put that. These are going to essentially be the pages that handle my post requests. And this will make, if this isn't making sense now, I hope that it will make more sense as we continue, because I'll reference back to it. We need something to create a blog post. Maybe edit a blog, delete a blog, and that should be good. And then here, I'm going to put the URL that I'm going to use, and I want it in my views. So this will be my let's call it index. This will be, I'll call this all blogs. This will go to views, all blogs, and this will be, actually, I'm going to call this blogs so we can add on to it. This will be blogs, and then what I'm going to want to do is have my user ID here as a variable. This will be I'll just call this create user. I'm going to make the views the same. Is this helping anybody, or is this more confusing than it ought to be?
This is essentially just how you're organizing yourself, right?
Yeah, and again, normally I would do this with drawings. I usually make a wireframe, but since we're doing this on the screen, I can't.
Annotations, yes, you can.
Oh, I mean, yeah, but oh boy.
But this is good. It's helpful for us to see how
Yeah.
you're organizing what we're doing first. Because I know when we had that one assignment where Michael Choi was talking about how we need to map out what's in the first form, which is in the second form. This is the same kind of idea.
Yeah, essentially, I mean, this isn't going to be set in stone or anything. This is just for me to sort of have an idea of the overall structure of the website before I even get started. So I'm not coding myself into a corner. I'm not setting myself up to sort of not understand my layout. It's kind of like if you were going to, build a room. You wouldn't just grab hammer and nails and some wood and start, putting walls up. You would probably want to take some measurements and map things out. Otherwise, you might put walls up around yourself without a door, or things might not fit correctly. So I kind of think about this the same way. I'm going to say create blog. So this is kind of the basic structure. I know that these are going to render some pages that I want people to see. I'm also, if I'm going to have an edit blog, then I also probably want some sort of edit page. So blog page, which will be some sort of like blogs/edit. And then I'll probably have a blog ID. This will be view/blog. Let's say blog editor, just so that I know that it's different than this one down here. All right, so now I have just a very general idea. I can come back and reference this if I get lost along the way. But first things first, I am going to make sure this is all fine. I have my app and my settings. The URLs are set up. And now I'm going to start working on my app. Do we have any questions or anything so far? I'm going to try to go as slow as possible. Stop for questions as much as I can. So speak up if you have questions, because I can't see the participants. All right. So let's start. Let's add our URLs file. I also know I'm going to need templates, so I'm going to create a folder called templates. And I'm going to add index.html to that. And this will be my basic HTML. Let's see. We can start here, I suppose. And start with our user class model. And what do we say we wanted for a user?
Name and password? Username.
Yeah, just a username and a password. So let's just start with that. Username. And then what do you guys think? Model dot what?
Char field.
Lowercase model, MOLD.
Is that what you think? And max length?
35 characters?
35? That sounds good. And then what do you guys think for password? What do we usually put for this?
We were told keep it to like 65 or 70 because we were like gonna decrypt them.
Exactly, yeah. And when you, even though your password, when you input it, could be 10 characters. When you encrypt it with salt, you add a lot more, make it a lot bigger. So let's just say 75. And then let's make a basic blog.
Oh, you didn't put the
Updated at,
Yeah.
created at, yeah.
Thanks, guys. What do you normally put for this?
Models dot date time text.
Yeah.
Date time field. Oh, capital D. There you go.
And then what do you guys usually put here?
Then it's like equals true or forget. So yeah.
Is it auto now?
Yeah.
Auto now add.
Yes. Auto now add equals true, I believe.
It was true. For updated up.
Nope, this one's auto now add equals true.
There we go.
No, it's auto now for updated. It's auto now add for created.
Yes.
Okay, and what's the difference?
One creates it, the other one just updates what is already there.
I mean, what's the difference between auto now and auto now add?
Yes.
Good answer, Fez. I agree with Fez.
So auto now is going to automatically update the date time field whenever something is changed. And auto now add is only going to update the date time field when this class is added to the database, essentially. So auto update it when it's created, auto update it when it's updated. And if that add sort of helps, remember what the difference is, then remember it that way. So if you're adding it to the field, adding it to the database, you want this to be there. Let's see. So what do you guys think for this?
Models that term field probably like 20.
Yeah, 20, 25. Let's do that. And then we're just going to have text, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to make this pretty simple. And what do you think? Char field or text field?
Text field.
Yeah, I think so
Field.
too. And how big should our blogs be?
Wait, do you usually put a max length on text field?
Oh, you can.
You can leave it open.
You could leave it open, but do I want somebody to write like War and Peace in their
No.
blog?
True, maybe
Yes.
150 at the most.
Yeah, I do want War and Peace. You think 150? That seems fair.
Put up the Treaty of Versailles in there.
Yeah, right. Let me see something real quick. Oops.
Dakota, just to let you know, Gabby was asking if we're not adding a login app.
We can. I feel like the login and registration has been gone over quite a bit, but we could do login and registration if you guys would like. Do you think that would be helpful? This is for you guys, so whatever you guys think is going to be most helpful, I'm down to do.
No, that's fine. I was just wondering.
And just keep in mind, the last demo that I did, including login and registration, was 3 hours and 45 minutes long. So
Yeah.
if he does a login registration, it's going to have to be a pretty bare bones, not focus on the validations, but more on the incorporating the user into the other database entries.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so, all right, we have our blog, and now what do we need to add? We need to add the foreign key, correct? So this is going to be, let's call this the creator. Models dot
Foreign key.
foreign key, and then how do we normally do this? What needs to go first?
Foreign key user, and then related name, and then on delete.
All right, so what does user do?
It calls from the model, from the user model.
Yeah, it's essentially telling Django that this is going to connect to this object up here. And then what do you want the related name to be, you think? Just blog entry?
Yeah.
And what does that do? What is the point of doing that?
It creates the variable so you can call to it later. Like when you put in like your functions and everything.
Yeah, where does this go?
It goes into the views page.
No, this is actually going into my user model.
Ew.
So when I add a user to this blog as the creator, it knows to find that specific user object because it should be passed through. And then in that object, it's actually going to make sort of an implied attribute called blog entry. And that is going to be essentially a group that will take you back to the different blog posts. So whatever you put here as related name is how we're going to be able to find the blogs within the user object. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Okay, cool. And then what do we normally put here, you guys?
Models.cascade.
Exactly. All right, so this seems like a very basic setup. Let's put our updated at. All right. And then what do we finally need to do once we're finished with our models? You guys probably can't see my screen, but I'm going to make my migrations to get those set up within my database. And it doesn't want to do that yet because my whole URLs aren't set up. So let's do that. I'm going to put this up here. It's supposed to be django.config.urls, right? URL.
The URLs thing is specific to Django 1.10.
Oh, is it? Am I thinking
Yeah.
of my old one? Is it path?
Yeah. And then it's from Django.urls import path.
Okay.
Cool.
Sorry, I was looking at an old project.
It's all
There we
good.
go. Okay, there we go. So we have our URL patterns, which we've already somewhat laid out here, right? Oops.
For the sake of keeping track, is it better to do the URLs before the models?
I think it's kind of up to personal preference.
Yeah, there's not like a specific good way or wrong way or best way to do it. It's really up to personal preference. If you'd rather figure out the general idea for what the flow of information should look like first, then by all means do that. If you want to focus on the models and build out from there, you can do that as well. So there's not like a one size fits all best case scenario option for this.
Line 2 should say import views, plural.
Thank you. All right, so now we're just going to add the, can you guys see this on the right? The page split?
Yes.
All right, cool. We're just going to essentially add this in the same way that we have it written there. And it gives us a little pre-made cheat sheet to what we want to do. All right, so can somebody explain to me what this is going to do, what this is for? Anybody?
It alerts the blog. So it's looking for a number, which is the ID number that it's been assigned to. So integer is the number itself.
Yep.
So when you're talking about blog ID, you're talking about which numbered blog. So the ID number.
Yeah. So essentially it's saying, it's telling Django to expect some sort of variable that's going to be here. And that variable is going to be a number, and it's going to be called blog ID when it's passed to my views blog editor function. All right, and then we're going to have, so these I have set up as my paths to render. So I'm going to just make a little note here for myself that these are all going to be render paths. And everything here, these are going to be sort of handling data, or yeah, I'm going to say handling data. And so these won't actually load a web page when we go to them, but we're going to use these so that our data has a place to go. So user, and this will go to views dot create user. Blog. This will be edit blog use dot delete blog. Delete blog. All right. And so there is one thing we're missing. We have the blog editor here. We also probably want like a form to actually create a blog. Actually, I'm going to keep that separate for now because I can probably add that to another page. And then, because all of these are expecting some views, I'll leave that there. We're going to start to define our functions that it's looking for. So index, and I'm just going to put pass here, and that will just keep us from getting an error about the function not having anything to end it, any sort of return, but will also keep us from getting an error from these views not existing. Does that make sense to everybody?
You're
And so I'm also going to make a little note to myself that these are all my render views, and everything down here is going to be, I will say, redirects. That helps me separate my functions so that I know exactly what the different functions are doing. And if I have an error, it makes it a lot easier to find where that error is coming from. Those are those.
So you're just separating the main pages from the ones that will take you to those main pages.
Yeah, exactly. So these are going to actually render some HTML at the end. This one will get me to my main page. This is going to show me all the blogs. This will show me a specific blog. This will be my editor form. And then this is the path that when I actually create a user, I want it to send that information towards, and then this is going to redirect me back somewhere up here. When I want to like create a blog, that create blog form information will be passed to here. This will be my information that creates a blog object, and then it's going to redirect, back to maybe here to show that blog, something along those lines.
Very organized.
Yeah, I think it makes it a lot easier. When I first went through, I was having a lot of trouble keeping track of what everything was doing, and I would, code and get lost and not realize where the errors were coming from. And once you start organizing things, it makes it a lot easier. All right, and there are a few things that we know. So we know, based on these two, that I'm going to expect something called user ID and something called blog ID. So one blog, and all these are going to have the request, but this one is also going to have user ID. This one will probably end up being a blog ID later, but I'm going to add all these. All right. How's everybody doing so far? Do we have any questions or anything?
Somebody else ask questions because I'm the only one asking questions.
So here's one from Django shortcuts import render. When do we use the word include?
Include is not going to be in here. We're actually going to also import redirect. Include comes, where is it? In my project URLs. And that is so that this path, essentially a blank path, will include this app, my blog app. And if I had multiple apps, I could include multiple apps with different paths, which is, I think, what Cody did. Sorry, Cody. You had a login app.
Yeah, I had
Separate.
Yes, I did. I had
So
two separate apps.
So Cody probably had something like path login,
Dashboard.
and then
Yeah, I had a
include.
blank path and then a dashboard.
Okay. So this is a little backwards from what he had, but the same idea. Login app.urls. So if I had a login app, I could include it here by directing traffic toward it if it includes login as the first parameter within the URL. But since we're only doing one app, I don't need a parameter. I just want to essentially direct all traffic to my blog app.
So I'm envisioning the URLs kind of like this big grandma saying, come on over, I'm including you. And then the views PYs, the police officer saying, nope, you need to go this direction, you need to go that direction.
Yeah, essentially. Or you could think about it as these are all addresses, where these functions reside. And this is kind of like Main Street. But whatever analogy helps, that's what's important, is just sort of being able to visualize what's going on. So I'm sure you guys can't see it, but just off screen, I made my migrations and I migrated, and everything went fine. So as you can see, I have my little SQLite 3 down here. So I no longer need that. All right. So let's see. So here, what we'll do is we'll return render request index.html. And what do you guys, what is this doing, guys?
That is displaying your like HTML page that's going to show up when you like run your server.
Exactly. And that lives right here. So what we'll do is I'm going to delete this. I'm just going to make this a welcome page. Let's see. I'm going to grab Bootstrap from something I've already made. All right, so we have Bootstrap in there. Make our container. I'm not nearly as good with Bootstrap as Cody is. So Cody, if I am messing this up, please let me know.
Oh, I will.
Oh, thanks, man. So I know I need my row. Let's see, I'll just say
Silently
column.
watching and judging.
And let's see. What we will do is on one side, we are going to create a user. And you know what? I don't even think, if we're not going to do password or login and registration, I don't really need the password at all. But I will still let us make a user, and we'll just not have a login. So this form is going to be the one that creates a user. So since these are my URLs for handling data, I need it to go here. So we're going to go create user. Method equals post. And then we will do, let's see, what is it? Label 4. Say username. Let's see. What do we need here, guys? Nothing? Anything?
Well, if you're going to create a user, don't you, I think we're missing the p tags on the opposite sides. There's that line 12.
Here?
P
I mean,
tags.
we could put some sort of tag here if we wanted to.
Okay.
Put like H3 tags, make it a header.
And it's the form, so you need the CSRF token underneath the form action.
Nice, thank you.
Cody, how could you forget again?
Listen, you guys never warn me when I'm about to forget it.
We did when we remembered.
For input, you need like the type, the name.
What type
So,
do we put in for
text?
username? Yeah, exactly. And then what name would we want?
First name.
Well, we only have one
Or-
name
Oh,
for
then
this
just
model.
Username.
username.
Go. And is that it?
A class for how it's going to be set up in the columns and rows.
Yeah, we could do that. Let's see. I'm not terribly familiar with the Bootstrap class. I think it's, what is it, Cody?
Sorry, which thing? I was responding to something.
That's right. Input class for Bootstrap to make it look nice.
Oh, form dash control.
Just that?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So there we go. And then at the end, we need, does Bootstrap care whether it's input or button?
No, because you just apply a style, a class to it. Wouldn't make
Just
a
do
difference. I
Submit
always
anyway,
do.
because that's
Yeah.
probably what everybody's used to.
Mm-hmm.
Submit. All right, so as of right now, if we started up our server and we opened up our web page, we should get that. So let me see if that works. Helps if I save all this. Let's see, you guys probably can't see that, can you?
Nope.
Just a second.
Ah, okay.
You guys see? All right, so right now though, if we try to do something, we're going to get an error because we don't have anything there. So let's work on that. All right, you guys see the code again?
Yes.
All right. So I'm going to make a change. I'm going to say, I'm just going to delete this. We don't need a password for this. And I have to redo my migrations real quick. All right. So to create a user, what do we do, guys? Any ideas? Anybody? All right. Well, we don't have a validator. So we're essentially just going to assume that it's going to be fine for now. I assume you guys know how to do the validator because that's part of login and registration. And since we skipped that, what we're going to do is just skip everything and do user.objects.create,
What happened to this breakout room? Everybody's gone. What happened to this breakout room? Where did everybody go?
Hello?
Hey, I don't know what happened. I don't know where everybody else went.
I did a whole conversation here on mute.
Oh,
So I came in this room and I'm not able to find anybody, and I was
there's
asking
nobody else even in here.
but Chris and they asked me to, they are in the breakout room. I don't know where.
It says they're not in here, so I have no idea. Have everybody exit out of Zoom and join the chat back, and I'll put you all back in here.
Okay, I'm not able to contact them. Like, I just know them through Walkabout. I asked
Okay.
them, but they're I don't know where. Let me try again. Okay.
Okay.
So is there so if I go back to the main and I say join breakout room, it would come here directly?
It should, yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Created, but I need one. I only need one attribute for this model, and its username, and I'm getting that from this form. So on the main page, somebody creates a user. They simply type in a username, press create. All of that information is bundled up, and it makes its way to this view. How do I use that to fill out this part of the create process?
A request post?
Yeah, it's inside the request post. So, and then how do I get that specific thing? Because the post is a dictionary with a lot of information, in theory.
Whatever the name is set in the HTML.
Yes,
Scroll bracket
exactly.
and username.
Username. There we go.
Now, does it affect it if it's single or double?
No, it doesn't. It's the big difference is if I were to have strings inside of strings, then I would have to change them. But as far as this goes, it doesn't matter whether it's single or double.
And
All
is it true because it's in its own method of the create user, it doesn't affect the other methods if you use the same name? Like whatever is in that method stays there?
What do you mean?
So like, you know how you have, or like if you're using variable naming in one method and you decide to
Yes.
use the same variable, okay.
Yes. If you set a variable called, first name equals request.post first name, that variable only exists within the function that you declared it in.
Oh, okay.
You'll have to re-access that. I mean, but the thing is, the request.post only exists within this one function anyway, because this function doesn't run unless there was a post request sent from that form.
Exactly. So then what do I return? Do I just return render that same page?
It's under the redirect, so redirect.
And then, but I want it to load that. I want it to stay on the index.html. So how do I do that if I'm on a redirect?
/index?
Whatever your pathing is under the URLs?
Exactly, yeah. So since my blank path takes me to this function and this function renders my index.html, then I just redirect to that. And so when this is done creating, this gets returned. This sends me here, which will do this for me. But if I try to do this now, it's still not going to work because I'm missing one thing. Does anybody see what I'm missing? I'll give you a hint.
The comma.
It won't know. It won't know how to do this.
You need a session?
Nope. I need it. Right now, this function has no way of knowing what a user object is or how to create it. How can I?
You
how
have
can I help
you
it
have to
out?
define like username equals user dot objects.
Nope. I mean, I could if I wanted to use something. I could put a variable. I'm missing something up here.
Oh,
I'll just do it.
models.import.
Everything. So what this does is this gives me something to reach back to and have these blueprints so that now this function knows how to create itself. I don't know why. It's probably just a Python issue, but let's test it out.
Does VS Code have an autosave feature?
It does, but I don't trust it, so I
Yeah,
don't use
and
it.
it's not by default. So you have to manually set it.
Oops.
But I'm with Dakota. I don't trust it.
I've just had too many people come up with issues that are simply saved or simply solved by hitting Control S because VS Code did not do its job. Okay, can everybody see the web page? Create user.
Yep.
It's probably a little squished. Let's see. What username do we want?
Pink elephants.
Pink elephants. All right, so let's create that. All right, so what's going on here, guys?
I can't read it. It's narrow vertically.
Does that help?
Doesn't
Nothing
look any
changed.
different.
Nothing changed? Okay, I moved it to my other screen thinking that would help.
Is it because you're using that vertical monitor?
Yeah. I have it over on my vertical monitor.
Let's see.
It looks
So
like there's
it's
a return redirect. It doesn't like that.
yeah, it doesn't like that for some reason. You guys have any ideas why?
No slash.
Is it double quotes versus the single quotes?
Let's try that. I will change it. I know you guys can't see, but I'm changing it to single quotes.
I heard something from Kamakani too.
What'd they say?
Slash.
Slash. All right, let's try that.
You're still showing the browser window, by the way.
I know, I just changed it to a
Okay.
slash.
Okay, cool.
So let's try that again. Pink elephants, create. Hey, no error. So it seems like the slash worked. Anybody have any ideas why?
Because slash is specifically syntax for redirect.
Not quite, but close. The slash is I guess specific syntax in URL speak to kind of go back to nothing. We used to have to put it in our paths, but we don't anymore. Cody, maybe you have a better explanation than that, but
Yeah, so if the string starts with a slash, it's going to handle the routing as, okay, you're giving me a URL, so I'm going to go to that URL. If inside of that redirect you give it a string that does not start with a slash, then generally or if it doesn't contain a slash, what it's going to do is it's going to try to use what's called reverse lookup, where you can, in your urls.py, do some funky stuff to have it to assign a reverse lookup name to essentially just say, hey, when we're done and we want to redirect using this reverse lookup method. And this is something that you would likely want to do the bigger your application became, because then you could tweak around your URLs without having to go and change 16 different redirect or A tags or anything like that. So it's just another way that you can do it, but it's extra work. It's more complicated. It's not necessary for projects of this size, so we just use the URLs. And in order for it to recognize that it's a URL, it needs to contain /.
So that's why it gave that reverse lookup.
Exactly. It was
Exactly.
trying to reverse lookup for a function with no name, and it's like, I don't have something like that. So
that's more for like bigger, like
Yes.
huge applications.
Right. And there is a section on the platform that covers it. I think it's called like named routes or something like that. So in the future, if you're interested in learning about that, you have the resources to take a look at that.
Thank you, Cody.
No problem.
Okay, so right now what I want is, because we're not focused on login and registration, what I want is it just to create a list of all the users that we've made underneath this create a user form. So I've set this little section up. Let's go back to our views. And what would be the best way for me to get a list of my users onto my HTML? You guys have any ideas? Sorry, what?
Context?
Context. All right, yeah, context is good. What would I have to put into context? Do you have any ideas? Can I just say, all my users, please? Is that going to work?
You have to use the Jinja syntax?
Have to use what?
Jinja?
I will use Jinja, but not here.
So is it similar to the create, but instead of creating, you're getting?
Yep.
So like user.objects.get?
Well, but I want all of them, correct?
All?
Yeah, I want all of my users. So I wouldn't say get all, right? We have a function that does that for us.
Oh, right. I forgot about that.
So this is part of what I need. But given that this is a dictionary, what else do I need?
You need a variable.
Yeah, I need a key. This is my value.
Yeah, key. That's, yeah.
So the key all users is going to be all of my user objects. Is that all I need to do?
No.
What else do I need to do?
You need to put context in the return.
Thank you. All right, and then how do I get it into here? Somebody said Jinja earlier.
The Jinja for loop.
Which is correct, yeah. Oops. For user in all users. And for. All right, does somebody want to explain this to me real quick? Why, where's this all users coming from?
From the views that you created.
True, I'm passing that through. Where is this coming from?
From your model. Is it coming from your model? Your class?
No.
Your database?
Nope. This is coming from here. It's coming from my for loop. And is this going to work as is?
No.
What am I missing? what is this? What is this going to give me?
That variable should give you a list of all the users. Is that right?
Well, this is a list of all my users.
Mm-hmm.
But what is it? So if this is a list of all my users, then what is this?
Oh, it's like the ID. So you need something. You need to go in more specific. So it's like user dot something.
Yes, dot username. Because this is just a user object. So because this right here is getting all of my user objects, and this is an iterator iterating through my user objects, this all it's going to do is pull out those objects. And printing an object isn't very helpful. We want specifically the username. So let's see.
Okay.
So let me share my screen with you guys. Let me see if I put it over here first. Maybe you guys can see it better. There, do you guys see that?
Yes.
All right. So looks like we have 2 pink elephants. Let's make a new user. Any ideas?
Purple slippers.
There we go. How about another one?
Green toes.
Rubber baby buggy bumpers.
Rubber baby
Buggy
buggy.
bumpers.
Or you say that 4 times fast.
Whew.
Rubber baby buggy. Nope. Nope.
Yeah, I can barely spell it. There we go. So we've got some users, so that works. Let's do. There we go. Are we back at my code?
Yes.
You guys, yes, thank you. All right. So what else do we need to do, guys? We want something for creating a blog, correct? So let's make another page like our index that will give us a blog creation, and it will let us see all the blogs at the same time. So first thing we need to do is make that template, call it blogs.html. We can essentially actually copy all of this. Blogs, create a blog. This needs to go to create blog.
Is the title and the head tag, is that just for Dakota's reference?
No, this actually shows up at the top of your browser.
Oh, like a header title kind of thing?
Yeah, let me.
So that title thing will show up in like the tab.
Yeah, you see, it's right up here.
Oh, I see it. Okay.
And these kinds of things are used for a lot of the stuff that goes behind the scenes on the internet. Things like Google will use part of some of the information from there for browser results. The meta char set is a lot of this stuff is essentially read by the browser itself as well. So these are like little things that don't actually make much of a difference on the user side, or at least not that's like visible. But also, like your website won't break if you don't have it.
Okay.
All right, so we're going to essentially copy the last page, but make this for blogs. So our form action is going to be create blog, method post still, but we're not doing username anymore, right? we have our blog class here. So our first one is going to be for title, and this will be blog, and this will also be text, have that be title. This will be for say content. Content. And we'll say blog content here. Do you guys think input type text is the best way to do this, or do you guys have another idea?
Text box.
Text box? All right.
Oh, I mean text area.
Text area?
Yes.
Text
I believe
box
so.
area.
Text box area? Box?
Area box, yes.
All right. And then down here, we'll say for blog, all blogs. Let's just do blog title. But then there's one other thing that's missing, correct? We want to be able to have blogs related to users, correct?
Like display the user, or?
Not necessarily, but we want, because we have this creator foreign key, we want to be able to add a user as the creator of the blog, right? So how could we do that?
Would we use Jinja again?
Yeah, we can definitely use Jinja. So over here, we're going to want to do what? Because this is going to be all blogs, we can assume that we can follow what we did above and do that. But is that all we need, you think? Anybody have any ideas? If we want to add users to our blogs, what else do you think we should probably import? Maybe all of our users, right?
You misspelled render.
I did, thank you. All right, so this should get all of our blog objects, all of our user objects. And then how can we get that in here? How can we use that to associate a user with a blog? Anybody have any ideas at all?
If I remember correctly, is it the append method? You're appending.
Well, not in here because we're still within the form, correct?
Oh.
So is there a way? So let's think about it. If we had this form, we can fill out the title, we can fill out the content, but if we want to add a user to the blog, as far as the form goes, would it make sense to have everybody type in the name of the user that's doing it if we already have users created? Or should they have to select from maybe a list of users that we already have?
Select from the list.
Yeah, so how would we do that in a form?
So are you going to use Ginger again and like user.username?
Close. We will, well, first, for the form itself, we want to use the select method, right? And we can call this creator. And then inside a select, so this is like a drop-down menu, we have options. And whatever is inside this is going to be the value that is added to the name creator in much the same way that this is content and the value is going to be whatever the user fills out. And this is title and the value is going to be whatever text the user puts in for the title. So if we have the name creator and we want the value to be that creator, what do you think we want to fill this with? What's the best way to look up a user in our database?
The double brackets. And in that double brackets will be like creator dot something, creator dot username. No.
Close, but the username isn't unique, right?
Log.create.
Well, we're going to be looking for users. So what's a unique thing about a user that we can use to make sure that only one user is assigned to one blog?
User.id. Your ID number.
User, yeah, the ID number, right? So how can we get that? Can we just write user.id here? Will that work? How will it know?
Has to be in the double curly Ginger brackets.
All right, we're getting closer. But what is that going to mean? How is it getting this user and this user ID?
You have to write user dot user ID.
No, this is fine, but look at how we did this down here. We went through all of our blogs, grabbed each blog out, iterated through, and then we started dealing with the blog objects.
Oh, for each model in user.
Yeah, we need to go through our user objects.
Yeah, for each object, for users and all users. Yeah.
Yeah, because remember over here, we pulled out all of our user objects and we're passing those through our context. So we can iterate through all of our user objects and we can grab the user ID.
Yeah, sorry, I had an internet problem. I just logged in like a couple of minutes back, so I missed the starting. But
no worries. And then we can put our user.username. Whoops. As the option for people to see. And this will send the user ID through as the value of the creator with the creator key. And this should show our username, a list of all of our usernames for the user to select from. And then all of that will be bundled up, passed as in request.post to create blog. Create blog takes us to views.createblog. Which is right here. So what do you think we need to do here?
we need to display the messages there.
Well, this is the create blog function. It's very similar to this one. We're just going to simply create our blog. Where the different attributes are going to be filled in from that form.
Is this the wall that we are doing?
No, this is just, it's similar to the wall.